Frankly, Crispin was just tired of being dead. Dead and in his pajamas. Wow, he needed pants, because the flimsy hospital gown was getting a little breezy. "Thanks, Kelly," he said to the night nurse as she brought in his dinner. The ever-so-delicious red jello and chicken broth. Sheesh, he still had teeth, thank you, even if his insides had been a little ground up over the past week. That's what being kidnapped and tortured did to a guy, reducing him to slurping his food. "Eat up. I'll be back to get your blood pressure," said Kelly. Mid-30s, no nonsense, and in a different time, different place, he'd listen to her. But, well, he had things to do. He pulled the tray to himself, the IV line tugging a little on the top of his hand where it connected. "Hey, is that cop still sitting outside my door?" "Dwayne? I think he went to the cafeteria for coffee. Why? You need me to call him?" She'd stopped, her hand on the door. "Do you feel unsafe? They said he was here for your protection." "Always, but—" "No. I just wanted to check on the fire and the search for my attacker." She was pretty enough. Dark hair pulled back into a low bun, wearing teal pants and a patterned shirt, the look of a mother in her expression. She wore a ring, so probably. Now she gave him a look of pity. "No, I'm sorry. Do you want me to call the sheriff and see if he's heard anything?" "No, that's okay." He picked up his spoon. "Thanks." He pushed away his food, leaned his head back, closed his eyes. So close. He'd been so painfully, pitifully close to wrapping up this eternal, never-ending, doggone mission. And then, a biker gangbanger / paid assassin named Tank had to get the drop on him and rearrange his insides. Looking for answers to the question Crispin still hadn't answered. Where was the nuke? Good question. And really, get in line, pal. Because Crispin hadn't a clue if Two-Fisted Tank was an independent world-ending terrorist or if he worked with the Brothers, aka a semi-organized Russian wannabe terrorist group conveniently working inside the American borders, also hunting for the nuke. At this point, it was a free-for-all race to find said stolen nuclear missile, and who knew how many rogue groups might be hunting down the thief, Henry Snow. Ex-CIA agent Henry Snow, who had rescued the nuke from the grip of a rogue CIA faction and hidden it like an Easter egg in the woods of Montana. The same Henry Snow who'd reached out to Crispin 3+ months ago, telling him to come to Ember, Montana, and then promptly ghosted him. The stupid watery broth actually smelled good. Crispin reached out to pull the tray close. Heat sheared through him up his side, where at least one rib had folded under Tank's close and personal attention. Crispin's head still hammered too, a throb that might be more like a pellet gun against his brain, thanks to the go-round he'd had with kidnapper-numbered Dose. This time, he'd been snatched right out of the hospital, dragged to a cabin in the woods, and, from his sketchy memory, might have turned to toast in a house fire if former CIA agent and his once-upon-a-time partner, Booth Wilder, hadn't rescued him. He remembered his floppy meat self being dragged out of danger by Booth, but sadly, not much more until he'd woken 2 days ago bandaged, IVs in one arm, on oxygen, and his entire body needing a main line of ibuprofen, and wearing pajamas. Agenda item numero uno: find pants. Then he'd have to sneak past Dwayne and out the door of the hospital. Lift some wheels, maybe connect with Booth, and then, finally, find Henry Snow. Not even a clue how he'd do that. He tasted the soup. Not terrible. He finished it, slowly, letting the heat find his bruised bones. Maybe he'd live, but he'd stopped thinking past the next 5 minutes.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.